right, it's the Mike Delivers podcast, and I'm excited to be chatting now with Libby Hill. She's Miss Earth USA. We're going to chat about some healthy eating, living sustainability, what's been going on with COVID-19 during this crazy time, and just some food in general. So, Libby, thank you so much for hopping on the Mike Delivers podcast. I appreciate it.
Of course. Good to see you, Mike.
Good to see you, too. So, first of all, how are you and your family doing right now in this crazy time in our lives?
We're doing pretty well. My family's back in Galveston, and I'm in Austin for school. Some of my other family's in Houston. So we're kind of scattered all over the place, and I think we're starting to feel the fatigue of isolation, but
Sure.
trying to stay connected virtually and when we can otherwise.
And you've been doing some great work, with healthy eating and living sustainability and trying to get the message out there for people that, can, like you said, can be a little stir crazy, can be a little wild. So, any tips for people at home as they're kind of losing their mind a little bit, maybe with the eating and just healthy living that you can do in your house, and hopefully we can do more and more outside. But if you are kind of handcuffed inside, so any advice for people?
Yeah, I think it's really fun these days to try and make either a home cooked meal a really special experience or to try and deliver food and maybe set up like a restaurant atmosphere. I think that's one of the big things that we're missing right now is kind of the atmosphere of eating. Like that's what we go to a restaurant for. It's not for
Right.
the food because as you know, we can get it delivered. So I think really focusing on the atmosphere is huge. And then if you're lonely, you can always Zoom someone in to eat dinner with you. I think that's something that's a little underused right now. We started that at the beginning and everybody kind of let it go. So
Yeah, I love that idea. Love that idea with the kind of make the restaurant at your house. When I was a little kid, I remember like my aunt and uncle would come over and we would put like, I don't know if it's doable now, but we put like a big sheet through the wall and make it like a fake, back to the kitchen. And I think that's a fantastic idea for people just to have a little bit more fun and get creative and make what's inside the house, a little more different. That's an awesome idea.
yeah, it's kind of like playing as an adult, right?
Yeah.
We don't have room for a little imagination.
And I know you had mentioned something to me previously that I wanted to bring up, this idea of like the show Chopped on the Food Network and
Yeah.
having a challenge where maybe you get some fun ingredients from the grocery store and then you can have a little more fun cooking. Expound on that idea that you had mentioned.
Yeah, so I know when we chatted earlier, we talked about this idea of Chopped where you get like one or two ingredients that you then have to give whoever's cooking that night in the house, and it is a challenge, and then you can flip nights. So one night you could give someone like tuna fish or peanut butter, whatever it is, something ridiculous, and have them try and incorporate that into meal in a fun way. And it might be horrible, but either way, it's going to be fun and it's going to be different.
Yeah, maybe if you've got some kids or something, or you could have them be the taste testers and give their score, or even too with Zoom. I know you can't try the food, but it might be entertaining for people just to go in there and watch as you're, like get me the mango, get me the mango, and you can't figure out what you're trying to do with everything. I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, so just trying to think of ways to keep things fun and interesting right now more than ever.
And you're in the Austin area, University of Texas graduate. That area for food and maybe hopefully there's some outside seating or ways people can get deliveries there. Are there restaurants in Austin that you would recommend or you think about and are just some great areas? Because I've never been, but I've heard Austin is just such an awesome food town.
Yes, it is. So my first and always first recommendation is a place called Taco Flats,
Mm.
and they have two brick and mortar locations now, but they have the best tacos in Austin, I would argue. So that's always my first recommendation. We like Mexican food here a
Mm.
lot. So there's that. We have Pint House Pizza, which is a little bit more local. I think it's across Texas though. And they have amazing pizzas. I know I'm going with like all the junky food. And then we also have a local place called Honest Mary's, which
Mm.
is way more casual, but it's kind of the concept of Chipotle, but for people who want to have a really nourishing bowl. So you can get everything from arugula to forbidden rice to quinoa to black beans to tofu, like truly just laid out health food across the way. So that's a really fun experience too.
That's cool to hear, and that's something like that that you could get. And I know for myself, and I try to do the best I can with healthy living, and I know that there are moments where I kind of veer off in the wrong direction, but it's amazing just how good and just healthy you feel and energy you feel when you can eat the right way. And I'm not saying everything has to be perfect, but just I really mean this. Like the idea of having vegetables in your body, like it makes a difference. Like there's a reason they're growing in the earth, and it really does help.
Yeah, and I'm someone who believes there truly is room for everything. I love food. I'm never going to not eat delicious food. Um, but you can have cookies and vegetables,
Right.
and that's better than no vegetables at all. So I say balance. Balance is key.
Yeah, balance is absolutely right. Now I know University of Texas. So is there maybe this is a tough question. Is there any Oklahoma spots that would be recommended, or we're not even we can't even go down that road?
No, no, no. I know Texas and OU, we have a pretty big rivalry.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't say that I've ever been to Oklahoma,
Fair
honestly.
enough. No, I know. I have a good friend that's a Texas alum. He played football there, and anytime I went with like anything Oklahoma, I was like, bad day for me. So maybe I understand. It's crazy though that those sports rivalries and everything and school rivalries, just how impactful they are in people's lives, and it's something I think like as a sports fan myself, you miss that craving of just having like casual like sports smack talk against Oklahoma, even though we know it's not that big of a deal, but we miss that win-loss feeling.
Yeah, that banter. I mean, football is amazing. It's a
Yeah.
huge staple of Texas. So,
And you were on the correct me if I'm wrong, on the rowing team when that at the University of Texas. What was that experience like?
so it was amazing. It was really hard work. People always say, "Wow, that looks so peaceful and so fun." And it's truly not. It's one of those sports that's a little bit grueling, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would never call it fun, but it is worth the effort. It's a very rewarding sport, and it pushes you to your mental limits. And we raced OU a few times, and my boat always won. So
Now I have to imagine at the end of that kind of workout, which is such a great body workout, and you're exerting so many calories and energy, and you're talking about the mental side of things that are involved. I have to imagine like the breakfasts after those kind of workouts have got to be epic and fun.
yes, I have to tell you, when I was rowing, I'm in a fairly smaller body, but I had to eat something like 3 or 4 thousand calories a
Wow.
day just to try and not lose weight when I was
Mm.
rowing. Because, I mean, for 20 hours a week, it's one of the most intense power and cardiovascular exercises there is. So we ate all the time. There's a place called Galaxy Cafe in
Mm.
Austin, and they have some amazing breakfast. And so that was our spot to go. They have, oh my gosh, these amazing cookies too. They're called cowboy cookies.
Mm.
So we were working hard. Sometimes we would eat cookies for breakfast, not gonna lie.
I understand. I mean, I know for me personally, like if I just do my rec league basketball, how much energy I exerted, and I've heard from people that have rowed before, just like the amount of energy that you're exerting is just an incredible, all body workout, and then the mental side of stuff too. So that's awesome to hear and cool. So as far as like on an Uber Eats side or a delivery side of thing, are there any go-to type orders? This could be local or national that you would recommend for healthy eating and being smart. And because I know with everything going on, there's a lot of ordering in right now. Any recommendations or choices you think for people that are listening to this podcast that might work for them?
Yeah, so I know we've chatted before, and this isn't a food, but this is an option for when you're delivering. Um, on some delivery services, you do have the option to look and see if sustainable packaging is
Mm.
used at the restaurants. And so that's something I'd love to touch on, because as we order in, we're generating a lot of waste, especially during this time. And it's necessary because we have these health concerns. So in order to be safe, we do create more waste. So I would encourage people to look in Uber Eats and Yelp, wherever they're looking for a local restaurant. Go in and see if they have that sustainable options check mark
Hmm.
in the restaurant description, because if they do, then you know that you're getting something that either can be recycled or is made from post-consumer recycled material, or it can be composted. So that's a really amazing way to help in terms of sustainability during the COVID crisis. Cooking at home is another great one. And then lastly, I would say no matter where you are, the keywords farm to table are
Hmm.
going to get you some really amazing, fresh, local food. And usually places that market as farm to table or are farm to table in their business model are they're local and they're focused on sustainability as well. So I would say no matter where you are, look at those two things, and that's a great jumping off point.
Yeah, that's great information. And I think as times evolve and change evolves and everything that's been happening over the last 3 or 4 months, there's obviously a ton of negative to talk about, but hopefully there are some positives that can come from this in the long term. And maybe that's one of them where there's more information on for the Uber Eats drivers and for people ordering in for that information you just provided has the environment obviously is something that we have to be worried about and we have to be thinking about for future generations. Has there by everybody staying inside during COVID-19, has there been any help or change that we've seen with the environment? I know it's only a small sample size, but can something like that just trigger even the smallest change in that regards?
Yeah, I think we all witnessed the increases in air quality,
Mm,
just with the lack of transportation, the lack of flying, the lack of that daily commute. And so I really hope that people took that as a symbol of hope, saying things might go back to close to how they were. I'm not sure if we'll ever return to what we thought of as normal,
right.
but hopefully we'll have less of a commute, maybe fewer people commuting, and maybe people will learn to cook a little bit better during this time. These are all things that can help and can change the world. So hopefully we learn from this and hold on to that.
Has there been a go-to meal that you've cooked at home during the quarantine, or anything that maybe you experimented with that you didn't try before, but you've had a little more time in the house that you've gone with?
Yeah, I have really been cooking a lot of cultural meals lately.
Mm,
So I've been trying out a lot of Mexican food because, like I said, that's one of the things I was really starting to miss. So trying to find more authentic ways to do it with the real ingredients. I've also had a girlfriend over to cook Indian food, and that was really authentic and it was fun. It was an eggplant dish.
mm.
So I've been experimenting with eggplant a lot lately in both the Indian cuisine and also in Italian cuisine. So I've really been jumping around the world from my apartment.
Super cool, and it's awesome too. Like you pick a vegetable like eggplant that's so versatile, and it's like I think that's such a great experience that you can try it in Indian cuisine, you can try it in Italian cuisine, you can try it in Mexican cuisine, and it's like food really brings the
Ooh,
world
I
together.
never had Mexican eggplant.
My wife likes it in she gets these vegetable tacos and she gets it in there, and she just absolutely loves it from our local spot here in New Jersey.
Okay,
Yeah, she's
maybe
a
I'll have
big
some of my
fan.
life.
Yeah, big fan of that. Cool. Well, Libby, I appreciate you taking a couple minutes here on the Mike Delivers podcast. I appreciate it. I do want to get to one thing. It's completely off topic, but I saw on your Instagram you have a cat. I pride myself on being like the biggest cat lover in the world, and I'll be completely honest. I didn't grow up with animals, didn't like dogs, didn't like cats, and my wife forced us to get a cat, and I was a complete jerk about it. Oh, I'm
Oh,
not gonna like it. I'm not into this, and I was the worst. Like, and I'll admit it now. Complete stink about it. 4 years later, that guy's my best friend, and him and I are inseparable. And like, I'm like, hey, he doesn't even like you. I tell my wife, hey, he's for me. He's for me. So I know. I saw you had a cat. What's your cat's name? And just anything you want to say about your cat. I know it's like the strangest question in the world, but I'm like, I'm the biggest cat
no.
lover now. So like,
Yeah,
I got to hear about. We have to have some cat gossip.
yeah, between cat lovers, it's never strange. Show me pictures of your baby. I'll go get
Yeah.
him if you want to meet him after we wrap, because I don't
All
want to
right.
wait.
Cool. Sounds good.
My cat's name is Tubbs. We call him Tubby. And I got him when he was 3 years old from the Humane Society. He
Oh,
had been living in a junkyard and
oh,
eating trash. And so he was a huge boy. I think when we got him, he was 17 pounds. He was a
Wow.
big boy.
Wow, that is big.
Yeah, to the point where they put him in the little cardboard kitty carrier and they tried to pick it up and he just fell out of the bottom. And everyone was so ashamed for him and they felt so bad that they ended up sending him home in one of the
Oh,
plastic small dog carriers. So I got that for free. And he's been on a diet, but
gotcha.
he's still a big boy.
Yeah, no, the cats are great. They're cool. They're there for you. They have a sense for you. So, but yeah, 17 pounds. Yeah, my guy's name is Leon, and he was in the woods in my wife's sister-in-law's parents' house, and this cat just kept running up to their house. All these cats come in, and he kept looking in, looking in. They're like, "Let's let this guy in," and they made the right choice, and they gave him to us. All right, a couple of questions I ask on all the podcasts before I end and wrap up. First off, what was the best thing you ate in the last 7 days from recording this right now?
Hmm. So my one of my favorite meals ever is the tom kha soup from Thai Kitchen.
Mm,
It is just one of the best meals ever. It's the coconut broth soup. So it's super rich and then it has lemongrass and fresh vegetables, I guess mushrooms, carrots, all the good stuff. It's
mm,
so delicious. And then you
awesome.
put a piece of rice under it. So it's
Mm.
hearty.
Yeah, can't go wrong with some good Thai food. I have to agree. All right, a new question now that I ask at the ending sequence because my wife's very passionate about it. Would you prefer cake or pie if you had to pick between the two?
Ooh,
Tough hitting stuff here.
it is tough hitting stuff because I'm from Texas and I feel like I should say pie, but I I do. You know what? We'll go with buttermilk pie.
Okay.
That's my pie, buttermilk
Hey,
pie.
hey, your world, your answers. Anything's acceptable. Yeah, she's very passionate. Her answer is always cake. She can't stand pie. So now it's become like a big staple of this podcast, a big debate.
Interesting, collecting data.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love a good piece of cake, but I'm not a frosting person, and so
gotcha. Yeah,
that's
that she's the opposite. And I don't know if she's had like elite level pie yet to help her make a decision, but that's for another time. And
what
then
can you.
fi- and then finally, a year from now, everything's back to normal, and you're getting engaged. Let's say, and you're sending out your wedding invitations. Do I get invited to your wedding?
Of course, but only if you bring your cat.
Leon and Mike and Jess, all three of us will make the
Yeah,
trip. You'll
all
get
three, the whole family, bring it
bring the whole
on.
family, and you'll get to meet Leon the cat. Libby Hill, Miss Earth USA. Thank you so much for spreading your message and all the great things that you're doing, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much, Mike.